Hello and welcome to the federal results for the Maharashtra and Jharkhand assembly elections are due today. The trends have just started coming in. Uh, they're very early trends at the moment, and so I'm not going to dwell on what these early trends are suggesting, although there is a lead for the NDA, the BJP-led NDA in both these states at the moment, but these are very, very early trends. What I'll dwell on rather is why these two states are very crucial both for the NDA and the opposition's India bloc. Uh, both these states, of the two states, Jharkhand has a India bloc government led by Hemant Soren of the JMM. The Congress is a smaller alliance partner. In Maharashtra, you have the Mahayuti, which is the BJP, the Shiv Sena of Mr. Eknath Shinde, and the NCP of Mr. Ajit Pawar, which is in power with Mr. Eknath Shinde, the chief minister. Now, these are both very, very crucial elections for both the principal formations, political formations of the country, whether it's the NDA or the India bloc. I'll start with Jharkhand. This is a state which saw an extremely polarizing campaign by the BJP, where they spoke about infiltrators, illegal Bangladeshis, and change in demography, reducing population of the tribals, whereas you had the India bloc, primarily, the campaign being led by Mr. Hemant Soren, the chief minister, and his wife, Kalpana Soren, basically talking about how this is a divisive campaign. It's meant to divide the tribals and the Muslims who've been living in harmony. It's meant to divide the state. And he instead focused on what his government had done over the last 5 years and the assault on tribal pride by the BJP over the last 5 years. Remember, Mr. Soren had also been sent to jail for several months, and his claim has been that the arrest was an insult heaped on him because he was a tribal, not because of corruption. The High Court in Jharkhand, of course, had said that there is hardly anything on record to suggest that the allegations against him have any strong basis. Now, why Jharkhand becomes important? It's a tribal-dominated state. It's a state where the BJP is, of course, trying to return to power after being voted out by a kind of in 2019 in an election in which the tribals had consolidated in a big way behind the JMM. There are 28 reserved tribal seats in Jharkhand, out of which the BJP had managed to win only 2 seats last time. But the Lok Sabha elections this year had shown some signs of, or actually very good signs of the BJP's revival in Jharkhand, because the JMM and the Congress were limited to just 5 seats, all 5 tribal reserved seats, which suggested that the tribal consolidation continues to be behind Hemant Soren. But on the remaining 8 seats of the state, it was the BJP and its ally, the AJSU, which managed to win. And these were, of course, general seats or seats reserved for the scheduled castes. So whether that momentum has carried on or whether the BJP has slipped again, despite running this very polarizing campaign, has it been able to dent that tribal vote of the JMM? That is something that will be interesting to look out for. It's also a state where Mr. Hemant Soren, while he was in jail, the JMM had appointed Mr. Champai Soren as the chief minister. Mr. Champai Soren then defected to the BJP. He's now contesting on the BJP ticket. He comes from the Kolhan region of Jharkhand, again, another tribal dominated region. where the JMM had swept the last time around. The BJP hadn't won a single seat in Kolhan in the last elections. The BJP is hoping that Mr. Champai Soren's defection is going to help the party, at least make a significant dent in Kolhan. So that's another factor that will be interesting to look at. Maharashtra now, again, a very, very important state for both the alliances. It's a state that has seen a lot of political upheaval over the last 5 years. It's a state where almost all allegations hurled by the India bloc at the BJP are at play, whether it is breaking of political parties to bring down, elected governments. Remember, this was the state where in 2019, after a lot of drama, uh, the Shiv Sena had, at that time, it was one Shiv Sena, not two as it is now. The Shiv Sena had broken its decades-old alliance with the BJP and gone and allied with the Congress and Mr. Sharad Pawar's NCP, which again at that point in time was one NCP. Now there are two NCPs in the state, and and then subsequently the BJP had managed to break the NCP into the NCP, which is now the official NCP is now with Mr. Ajit Pawar, and then Mr. Sharad Pawar, who is actually the founder of the party, was forced to get a new symbol to change the party's name to NCP Sharad Pawar. Similarly, the Shiv Sena, founded by Bal Thackeray, the late Bal Thackeray, was split. His son, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, then chief minister, who had to step down because of the defections, because the government fell. Uh, his Shiv Sena also split into two. Mr. Eknath Shinde, the current chief minister, holds the official Shiv Sena at the moment and the symbol, whereas Mr. Uddhav Thackeray has had to go in for a change of name. It's now called the Shiv Sena UBT, and a new symbol. And ever since there's been this sort of debate, political debate, social debate on which one is the real Sena, which one is the real NCP. Is the political cadre, the electoral cadre, the political heft with Mr. Uddhav Thackeray even now and with Mr. Sharad Pawar even now, or is it something that has transferred to the parties that came out of the original? So this election would also then suggest or give some pointers to that raging question on whether politically, electorally, it is Mr. Sharad Pawar and Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, whether they are the people who still can claim that the Shiv Sena and the NCP are their parties, or whether that sort of claim shifts, that legacy shifts now to the new leaders of the two parties that came out of the splits. So it's a state where the accusation at the BJP of jod tod ki rajniti, breaking governments, splitting parties, that is at play. It's also a state where the opposition's other attacks, whether it is agrarian distress or unemployment or stagnation of the economy, all of those come into play. Attacks on Dalits, Adivasis, those come into play. And Maharashtra, during the Lok Sabha elections, was the state where the BJP and the NDA as a whole took the biggest hit. They had won 42 seats in 2019. In the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, because of a sense that the opposition's safe constitution plank struck a chord with the people because of the other issues, because of this jod tod ki rajniti, there was a sense that the people voted overwhelmingly for the India bloc, which in Maharashtra goes by the name of the MVA, the Mahavikas Aghadi. And the BJP's tally came plummeting down to just 17 seats out of 48. The India bloc managed to win 30 of the 48 seats, one independent who won was essentially a Congress rebel who, after the elections, went back and supported the India alliance. So the India alliance's tally in the Lok Sabha in Maharashtra was 31. Whether the India alliance has carried that momentum till to this election is something that will be very interesting to see. Mr. Eknath Shinde's government, in the last leg, there has been various assertions by political commentators that, in the last leg of his government, towards the final few months before the elections, he unleashed a lot of populist schemes, primarily the most important one being of cash tolls for women, the Maji Ladki Bahin scheme, which has which a lot of people think has turned this election around in favor of the BJP, and so and of course its allies. So it'll be interesting to see whether that's the truth, or whether the political sort of the atmosphere that prevailed during the Lok Sabha elections has continued. It's also a state where the BJP has been accused of communal polarization. In this election, the one slogan that made headlines everywhere, was condemned by any right-thinking person, was "Batenge to Katenge." That slogan came from Maharashtra. Uh, this then Mr. Narendra Modi's own thing of "Ek hai to safe hai," which was also uh, a kind of play on the "Batenge to Katenge," because he was, again, when he was saying "Ek hai to safe hai," he primarily meant uniting the Hindus, and so whether that rhetoric has continues to work or not, whether the people of Maharashtra have rejected communal politics, or whether they're okay with it because there is a kind of a populist government in power, that remains to be seen. This is a year that began on a not very positive note for the BJP because of the Lok Sabha setback. They came back to power, but with a much reduced majority. They sort of stabilized that with the Haryana elections last month, where, contrary to all expectations, the BJP came back to power for a third straight term. Whether this year will end on a high again for the BJP, or whether there will be some signs of the India bloc getting its act together again after the setback, and particularly for the Congress after the setback in Haryana, and the poor performance of the Congress in Jammu. That would be interesting to see, because that is going to then decide the narrative, the politics, that will play out from 2025 onwards. Uh, because if the India bloc does not win either of these states, or at least doesn't win one of these two states, the Congress, which is so far the fulcrum of the India alliance, is going to come under heavy attack from not just the BJP but also allies within the India bloc. It had come in for attacks after the Haryana debacle also, where the party was accused by its own allies of being irresponsible, of being too inert, too lethargic. So that would come into play. The opposition's unity will come under strain, because the impression that the Lok Sabha performance was only an aberration and the BJP is still a winning juggernaut will start to gain traction again. It will also help the BJP and Mr. Narendra Modi weather the storm that is currently brewing over the indictment in the United States of Mr. Gautam Adani, as well as, to kind of stand up to other criticisms that will come his way, beginning perhaps from Monday when the Parliament's winter session begins. So, very crucial elections. Uh, We'll bring you updates as and when major developments come through these trends that have started to come out, and we'll get you, the key winners, what's happening in Maharashtra, what's happening in Jharkhand. So do stay tuned for those updates. We'll definitely be coming back to you several times during the day today.